I'm going to up my rate after this.
Hello. My name is Darin Corbin. Thank you for joining me for this sit-down interview with my guest at this time, Big Daddy Bullhead.
You're lucky I'm here, you prick.
This is going to go well.
Remember who to thank when the ratings go.
Most
I didn't
recently,
want to be on this show.
I was contacted on Facebook by a guy claiming to be a promoter and a former wrestler. I could not find any information on him, and he said that he was old school and from back in the day, and that he used to keep this crazy schedule and all these things that he used to do. So I figured the best way to find out is if I couldn't find anything on the internet, if I couldn't search him, if he had no pictures, no anything, I might as well go to somebody who's kind of an old school expert, and that's why I brought in Big Daddy Bullhead. Now, Big Daddy Bullhead, you and I do not see eye to eye. That is very common, so thank you for being here.
Can we just get this thing over with?
All right, let's just get through this if we can, all right? So number one, Skid Row Hernandez. Have you heard of that name, and do you know him? Have you ever crossed paths with him?
I've heard of him before. I heard of Skid Row, and we crossed paths a couple times. We didn't talk much. He got kicked out of a locker room one time because he tried to start a fight. He was talking about how tough he was, and one of the guys shot on him and kicked him out, and then he had to go change in the concessions. And that jabron stole a bunch of Doritos and Lay's potato chips. That was kind of like his MO. We called them all, we called him Chip Row Hernandez after that.
He said he had a match up here, but he didn't wrestle under Skid Row Hernandez or Lois Cannon Chris. Is it supposed to be Loose Cannon? I don't know. But he said he wrestled as Little Red Wagon versus Danny Davis. But he said the match wasn't good. Do you remember this match? I
saw that match. Yeah, I was there.
Oh.
I was there for that. There's a reason why it's not on tape. No, it was real bad. I remember when they came up to old Bullhead and they were like, you want to do this? You want to put you in a hood? And, and I was like, nah, man, I'm not one to wear a mask. I don't do that. I got too pretty of a face. And they were like, we want you to wrestle as Little Red Wagon. And I was like, what the is that? And then this guy jumped at it. And he was like, yeah, I want to do it. I'll do it. I'll do anything. So he went out there and man, I've never seen Danny Davis so mad. I've never seen him so upset. And that was the last time I ever saw him in Minnesota. He left. I don't know where he went. I think he said he went down south and started a counterfeit $20 bill business, which is crazy because the first thing he tried to buy was more money, and it doesn't work that way. He tried to buy, he went to a bank and he tried to buy $100 with a fake 20, and they caught him pretty quick. But he didn't spend any time in jail because it wasn't really a big crime. I heard he defended himself, which means I don't know how he got out of that, but that's the last I heard of him.
Now also, Skid Row here claimed that he used to wrestle 6 days a week for about 7 years. Doing the math in what he told me, this comes to just over 2,000 matches, but I can't find any of them, let alone any information that he was blackballed by a promoter in Indiana when he unveiled a shady scheme that he was running. Did you hear about this? Were you caught up in the middle? Do you know anything about this incident?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had good luck in Indiana. No one's ever tried to be shady to me. It's one of my favorite spots to wrestle. But I remember he showed up one time. He showed up in the locker room, and I was like, oh man, was that piece of Little Red Wagon? And he put his bag down and he went over to the booker and was like, hey man, why am I not on the show? And a little bit of an argument ensued, and he tried to insult the booker's wife, and she beat him up, actually. She came in the locker room. She threw Fist of Fury, and she kicked him out. She threw his bag out. And that's why it happened that way. So I don't think it was a promoter. I think it was because he tried to pick a fight with her. And you don't mess with his wife. You don't mess with a man's wife, especially when
he said in his time frame, 91 to 98, he said wrestling was so old school that you couldn't even go in public out of fear of being harassed if you were a bad guy. Now, I don't know your era in which you wrestled, but can you tell me a little bit about this era? Does that make sense? Did you experience that as you were going through your career?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. The 90s? I was pretty much done by then. I was pretty much out of it. I was doing like a couple appearances here or there because of my popularity. And, I mean, like, I would walk into a diner, people love me, and they'd be like, hey, Bullhead, let me buy you some eggs and bacon, and I'm not one to turn that down. I used to eat that every meal for 15 years. I would eat a dozen eggs, and I would eat a dozen bacon. I called it the double dozen, or the Bullhead special, whichever one you want to call. But as far as him, like, not being able to go in public, I think it was just because he was so hated. Like, everywhere he went, he used to make enemies. You know, he used to bury people. He would try and bury promotions. He'd try and make up stuff about being ripped off, all that stuff. Selling the counterfeit $20 bill. Like, I think it was just because it was him. I don't think it was because of the times. But I'll tell you what, Big Daddy Bullhead ate real well at every diner. Yeah, I miss those days.
And also, finally, he spelled his own name wrong. He spelled his trainer's name wrong. He spelled numerous things incorrectly. Why is it that somebody in this era couldn't spell?
We weren't trained to spell back then. Spelling wasn't even an option. Like, I didn't have to know somebody's name. I didn't have to go on an interweb and search somebody's name. Half the time my name was spelled wrong on it. I was Big Daddy Bullhead, and no, I didn't care. Everyone knew who I was. As long as the ring announcer got it right, then I knew I was fine. So, it's quite frankly, like, spelling wasn't as big of an issue as it is now. Now you got those people, those grammar Nazis that come on. And I used to fight Nazis. I was back in the day when I was fighting Nazis. And I'll still fight Nazis. I'll fight any Nazi. That was my original gimmick, the Nazi fighter Bullhead. That's what I used to do. That was back in the 40s, though. That's where I became a big baby face. But I digress. Like, spelling was not an issue. And grammar Nazis, like, I don't even go online. I don't want them to try and correct. I don't even want them to try and correct me, because I'm not one of those guys. I don't get mad easy, but I can get pretty mad. Not like that dude's wife mad, that beat up Skid Row, but I get pretty mad.
All right, well, anyway, this shines some light on this topic for me, and also, as you can see on my Facebook page, you can find this conversation if you're curious to know more about this man, because quite frankly, I couldn't find anything after he tried to bury all the promoters and all the wrestlers in the Minnesota area. So if you can find anything, please send this information to me. I would love to know more. Thank you again, Big Daddy Bullhead, for joining us.
You're lucky I came on the show. I'm busy. Son of a...
Okay. And that's our interview for today. I'll talk to you later.